uh, okie doke. Alrighty.
Made me excited. Give me.
Alright, Red. It's going. What's good, buddy?
All right, it's going. Cool.
Cool.
So, I think that's a little formal introduction.
Okay.
Please state your name.
Alright, well, my name is the Emperor, of course, and you are?
I'm Red.
Are you Red? You look white
No.
to me.
Really? I thought it was blue because I'm wearing a blue thing. So the blue man. I'm Meeseeks.
I mean, you look more, that looks more like a gray shirt to me.
Right.
But yes,
Is it?
okay, shirts aside, tell me more about yourself, Red.
Tell me more about myself. Oh man.
Yes, dude.
You know, always when it starts with those questions, man, like it's like have you ever been to like one of those interviews where where some private school will interview you to see if you're qualified to get into their program or whatever?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the same thing. There's a kid that's there and he's expecting to like know what the hell to say, and he has no idea what to say. He's there. My mom told me to like tell me these things to you, but I really don't know anything for myself.
Well, you see, well, that question is basically just, it's open-ended because what you say is indicative of who you are, truly. Because, so tell me more about yourself indicates that whatever you're saying, right, is something that you put value to or something that you identify with. So if you say that, oh, I'm a musician, you know, I've been playing the cello since I was, what, like 11, 12, well, that means that you take pride in being a musician, right? To some degree,
Sure.
or you identify with it. So that in itself gives them an idea of who you are. So I know the question's a bit like, you know, it's vague, and I don't like vague questions myself, but it helps the questioner.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think like, okay, so if we go on that, I don't know. I'd say, who am I?
Who are you, Red? Who are you? I mean, does anyone really know who they are? I mean, if we're gonna be honest, like,
the metaphysical question of the fucking millennia, dude,
I
of
mean,
the
like,
world.
if you think about
Our
it, like, do we?
existence.
Okay, the fact that we're doing this, right? Like, we're recording ourselves and uploading like a recording to a bunch of strangers to see what type we are, and we're doing this solely to understand ourselves, right? I mean, that's my reasoning, and I'm sure that's your reasoning too, to some
I
degree.
mean, the only reasoning, right?
Yeah. So truly,
But
do
this is
we
also fun because it's like a moment where I guess like doing it alone, it seems as though it's gonna be a lot more directionless. Whereas like this way, it seems as though it's gonna go somewhere, right?
Right, yeah,
I mean,
like the
you're
conversation has a certain direction, right? Like we're flowing our energies from each other, right? Like if you're just talking to a camera by yourself, first of all, that's very awkward, right?
it's fucking awkward.
I know, like, so if my mother were to walk in and she'd be like, "Oh, Emperor,
Oh, I
what
take
are you
off my
doing?"
shirt.
Good thing the camera. Well, I opened my camera up, so I don't think they got a good look at that. But um, think about Auburn. What would he say? Just, oh yeah, what is this guy? Oh geez, those are. He does not have a shirt on.
Honestly, I'd be like,
Oh.
oh yeah, baby. That's what I do, Auburn. Like Auburn, these tits.
If you could
Almost.
pick one word to describe yourself, right, what would it be?
Oh my. Definitely confused.
I mean, I guess I could say the same for myself. I'm clearly we're both confused as once again we're literally recording ourselves, right? And uploading it.
No, I thought we were doing it. We were metaphysically recording ourselves.
Oh, right, right. Just in theory.
Yeah.
No, not seriously. This is all hypothetical.
Seems like it is. Yeah.
I mean, is life even real? Like, aren't we in some kind of, simulation of sorts? Like,
Bye, fam. Bye, fam.
uh,
Anytime the worst is when people bring up those kind of like questions, those very open-ended questions, expecting like some real conversation. I think like most people do it just to sound deep rather than to actually like.
yeah, pseudo. They sound pseudo when they do that, right?
Yeah,
But like,
intellectual.
I think solipsism is such an like garbage philosophy because like, okay, so if you think about it, right? if we do live in some sort of virtual reality, right? Like the Matrix, can we truly do anything about it, right? Like, so me understanding that I'm in some simulation, do I, the Emperor, have some sort of say in if I can leave that reality? No, like I'm forever trapped in this simulation. Even knowing it does not affect anything. So is there any point in like thinking about it to a deep degree, debating about it? No, it's just fruitless mental energy. Like I mean, like it's genuinely I find to be a waste of mental energy. I could be directing that to something that I find to be more relevant, or something more relevant to me in my life, right? Being in
Right.
a simulation's like okay, whatever, like really questioning it won't lead anywhere.
I think one thing to take away from those kind of ideas is that that there's multiple perspectives to something.
Yeah,
That
of course.
you can gain like a different perspective into something, and it's good to see it in a different light. Like I think anyone can put themselves and say and make up the idea in their heads while they're walking down a street, like around a crowd of people, and think to themselves, like I really feel separate from all of this, from all these people that are coming by me.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
in
yeah.
that sense, it makes sense because what Solips isn't so much saying that you're alone in this world. What it's saying is that your perspective is integral to who you are, and the things around you are just like the objects that you see. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're not people. It just means that you're just aware that between the difference of subject object. So
No, it makes sense. I think I believe it was Descartes that he was the guy who came up with solipsism,
Descartes,
right? Yeah,
yeah, Descartes,
Descartes.
yeah.
Yeah, Descartes. My bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm white. Um.
Oh man,
I mean,
I'm liking your sexy whiteness, man.
I'm looking pretty white
It's
to
sexy.
me. He's the one that postulated cogito ergo sum, right? I think, therefore I am, and that's what you're trying to get at, right? Like, um, okay, subject object differentiation. Like, okay, makes sense. You good there, buddy?
Huh?
You good there?
Why?
You looked a tad, lost or confused for a second, maybe contemplating.
Oh, no, I was just thinking about it.
Do you think
A
a
lot
lot?
of times. Hmm?
Do you think a lot? Do things plague your mind often?
Yeah, usually.
What
I
usually
have,
plagues your mind?
Oh fuck. Um, Honestly, I don't know. It really depends because it could be anything from thinking about these ideas about Myers-Briggs and personality theory and differences between different people. Like I'll think about that and I'll think about how or why a person behaves the way they do. But another thing would be just my health and where I am in life. I guess I have a lot of 20-year-old worries. I mean 23-year-old worries about life and about what are the goals that I want to have and the sort of what is destiny in kind of a sense. Even though because knowing once really well is very important to living a happy life. I
Right.
guess in the end of it all, that's really what I only care about is being happy to the things that I want. So essentially that. So I guess in it's frugal because oh my god, this guy, I have a person who just asked me for a textbook. All right, I'll deal with that later. So it's just left to that. It's really all I care about. I've been, it's funny because a lot of times I think that it's money, the only thing that's important right now, and I'll come up with these thoughts of thinking what if I was rich and what if I won the lottery and what if I immediately had $200 million. But what I really, and I noticed there's one thing I wouldn't be happy with myself because not only would I just not be able to do something for myself because I didn't actually accomplish that goal through my own effort, but it was more so because I don't believe in this thing that luck should just be deserving on me. And that I think that a certain amount, if I don't put work into something, then nothing is not really worth anything. It's not really worth my time. So,
Do you
and I
believe in
guess
luck?
it's like
Do you like think that luck is a legitimate thing, or
no,
what's
not
okay?
at all, not at all. I don't believe in it at all. I think
Okay.
it's garbage.
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree
some
wholeheartedly.
people. I don't believe in fairness. I actually don't believe in fairness at all. Um, and I don't believe in luck. And I believe like things happen circumstantially, but the thing,
Do you
but it's
think that
in
the
like,
universe is indifferent to all of us?
oh yeah, the universe doesn't give a fuck about us. I really don't think so.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely. So, you're familiar with, yeah, Camus' philosophy of absurdism, right? Well, what do you think about that? Do you subscribe to it to some degree, or not at all? Would you classify yourself to be more existentialist? Do tell.
um, I mean, I think I would consider myself mostly like a realist.
A realist.
Um, yeah, in the sense of like a questioning realist. So I think that there's always more that life has to offer. I think like Camus, he was just so into sports, and I think he really reveled in like the humanity of competition, uh, and like such like that. And I think in the same way I could agree with that. I really do think like that there's a sort of like life is giving these things, and because I have this vessel of a body, that I'm able to do things within the circumstances that I'm given that would allow me to like be happiest within the body that I was given. So like it's a vehicle, right? You have any destination you can drive to. It's just I'm deciding that with this vehicle that I have, that I'm going to drive to certain destinations that I think would make me happiest. Even though the road that I'm on isn't well paved, it isn't, there's always going to be loop arounds and turnbacks, but I'm not going to always like go back to point A, because it's times, it's funny. One might think that if you turn around on the road, you're going to end up in the same place. The only difference is that time changes the road. So like even if you go around, the road might be the same road in the sense of like it seems to go to the same destination, but that destination has changed because over time anything changes. So I mean in that sense, like I'm just there. I'm in the vehicle, and I'm seeing what the fuck I'm gonna land in, and hopefully, I land in something that's cool. So,
Okay, so through that, what would be your take on hedonism then? Because if you're just trying to be happy, right? What if hedonism makes you happy, or do you think that there's certain moral obligation that people have to do certain things, or do you think people lack any sort of moral obligation to like society in general?
it's a tough question because I think morality isn't. I mean,
Oh, it doesn't exist. You know, nothing
um, I
matters.
don't know if I can. I don't know if I can say Nietzsche is like on in like in a good sense on about this, and I can agree completely with
Dude, he's my
him.
lord and savior. All right, like I
Right.
worship Nietzsche.
Uh,
On oh yeah, about Nietzsche, I guess on a similar tangent, what is your take on postmodernism? Are you a fan of postmodernist works, or the effects of postmodernism, or would you say that it's only been detrimental to society?
I really haven't made an opinion of that yet, so I can't tell you. How about you answer that question?
Okay,
Yeah.
so there was this image that I saw, right, that I think truly exemplified the effect that postmodernism has on like our generation. And it was just basically like death, with the scythe is coming around, and he's like, "Oh, I'm death." And then the guy is just like, "Well, nothing even matters. Like, if I die, like, doesn't even, I mean, I'm nothing." And it was just like, then death goes to like a therapist discussing how he doesn't matter anymore, right? So like, I don't know, the fact that people are not putting value to things anymore, like, is is not good, right? Because we need certain values. Because okay, so technically everything is subjective, right? But as a society, we have to make certain things objective to make progress in anything, right? So like
Right.
technically, like the universe doesn't have like a standard set of morality. Like we've already established, the universe is largely indifferent, to us, right? But the thing is that by banding together and declaring that, oh, these sets of things are moral, and anything that doesn't adhere to this set is immoral, then we can then kind of make progress. Because if we keep getting the technicalities, we're just gonna keep like, it's just gonna weigh us down. Like we're gonna keep getting like, oh, but what about this? What about that? But like, stop with the what ifs, right? Because they're not allowing us to progress. And that's kind of my take on it. I think postmodernism, although there are a lot of works that came out of that movement, like for instance American Psycho, postmodernist novel. I personally really like American Psycho, for what it has to say, but and I mean, but like that's aside from the works that transpired from that movement. I don't like the movement itself, because once again it just devalues a lot of things that I think we need to value as a society to move on and to stay cogent. Does it make sense?
I'm guessing. Okay, so like, what we can say is like identity politics is a form of postmodernism, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
What's going on?
By the way, your camera quality just got a lot better.
Really?
Yeah, you look crystal clear.
Where could you? Oh, really? So okay, so it's crystal clear now. I mean,
Yeah.
could you still see me before?
Yeah,
Like,
I could still see you. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
How am I? Am I
okay.
okay? I know it's a bit grainy, but
It's a bit grainy, but yeah, it's not. I can still see you.
okay. You can see my movements. My general vicinity, my humble abode.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm hardwired. I'm on an Ethernet cable and I have 11% battery, but I'm gonna connect my thing soon.
Okay,
So it'll
yeah.
be-
My laptop is fine, but the camera, I mean, you win some, you lose some. The laptop is good, but the camera's, it's in the weirdest position too. Like it's like right, like underneath the monitor. It's like in the left hand. It's absurd, but whatever. Anyway, identity politics. What's your take on identity politics? Personally, I think it's a bunch of baloney, but do go on.
Yeah, I can agree with it. And it's just like I don't have a strong say on it. I can only say it really because like the way that I've had to deal with it, but I don't think I have like still a clear view of everything that's made of it and the things resulting of it, especially now. Like I mean, and this was really like starting in I feel like the late 2010s or like mid 2000s. I mean, yeah. So and I think there's a lot about it. It seemed like the way that it was glorified is over acceptance, right? And I think a lot of I think fundamentally it was good, brought on a good idea. But the thing is, when it becomes mixed with like certain cultures and it becomes mixed with cultures that take they pick and choose, they cherry pick whatever they desire just to make themselves be in a position of power, that's when it becomes like a real issue.
On that
And I think
topic, sorry for interjecting, but I would like to hear your opinion on mixing of cultures to begin with, because you brought that up, right? And I think that in itself brings a whole slew of issues that I think we could really discuss. So yeah, do tell me, what is your take on the mixing of cultures? Are you against it?
I'm gonna start off saying the opinion of what a lot of people I hear say, and I say that like, and I'm always debating TI users, and they say this, and they say, well, we can always look at a culture, and you can always continue going in that culture, and you're going to see that there's always, as you continue zooming in, there's going to be more and more microcultures that are going to pop up. And
yeah, I think the U.S. is a great example of that as well.
Sorry. The thing, so it's really, it comes to define what is culture, right? So let me just look it up in a dictionary. So essentially, culture is like, it says the arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively. I mean, even that in itself, I mean, it sounds really nice. It sounds as if like it's basically championing like the good things about people and what they do. And so in a very strong sense, culture is good because it brings out the best in people. Like for example, I mean, we can go to the Romans, we can go to the Greeks, you can go to Mesopotamians, you can look at the Middle East and Persia and all these places, and they had, I mean, really good, strong manifestations of what is like the human condition and what the human is, and like what the human is gonna do. So I mean, or at least the potential of what humans can do. But in some other sense, you know, if you revel and you basically say that, you know, some of these intellectual achievements undermine others of different cultures, then you have a culture clash. So in a sense of like what's going on now with the United States, like even in microcultures, right, there's going to be a difference in what they value as more intellectually pleasing, right? Even in that itself, they can value it differently, or they can value like as having a, you know, better or worse quality. So in that regard, I mean, you can see a lot of what's happening now, where people say, okay, well, my culture supersedes that of others, and they're going to continue having that thing. And of course, that's going to be immediately saying that puts you in a position of higher power where you want conflict, where if you stand, because I mean, it's an ego-driven thing.
Of course,
Identity,
absolutely.
ego. I mean, it's ego. So you could say that, like, hey, I'm doing this because of that, and now I'm going to have a clash with you because I think that I'm better than anyone. So, and it lends to the hand of a bunch of conflict that's going on, which this doesn't make sense. United States does something really well. And what I like about the United States, in the way that it includes cultures that I don't think any other country can do, because they're a lot smaller countries and it has a much more homogeneous culture, is that this place revels on having the mixed qualities of things and bringing it together and bringing the best out of people.
It thrives on diversity.
Right. It thrives on diversity, on, I guess, like outstanding diversity, right? You know, there's a lot of, even in Los Angeles, and there's like Chinatown, Little Tokyo, there is Filipino town, there's Koreatown, there's parts of like Mexico, essentially. There's just pure Mexico. And the thing is, like, you go to these places, and what they'll do is they'll have really good celebrations of their culture, and that's usually brought out in food. Food is, I think, one of the best ways that you can celebrate culture. It says, okay, this is the best that we can do. Let's show you what we have. And they're very given. They're like, hey, explore our cultures. And they're very welcoming to people in that sense, because food is used as this thing. Food is never something that divides people. I mean, it can be a division, but one thing that humans all can agree on is when they sit down on a dinner table and eat food. Right, you go to any other place and the celebration of food is really important. So you see it in these places that it's like the celebration of food, and it's totally cool. The thing is, like, it goes, I'm saying it's a very niche quality, and I think it's something that I'm looking at this thing as one thing, because it's very important to see that culture is very important, because it does help people come together and celebrate the differences, right, rather than look at the things that are against that. Now, what's going on now is that everything is so focused on looking at the differences as
instead of the similarities, the universal traits that each culture possesses. Like, you know, like across the board, all these cultures happen to have this. No, they focus on what makes us different. I understand. But like, what about okay, so people, you know, take pride in their culture and want to celebrate it, but what about, like, so let's just say I'm from Norway, right? Like, I'm living in Norway. I'm very proud of the, you know, I take pride in being Norwegian, and then a bunch of refugees are coming in, and, like, you know, they're not assimilating to my culture. Whereas the U.S. culture thrives on diversity, right? Because I mean, we like our culture is just diversity, right? Like, everyone across from the world comes in, and so our culture is just a melting pot. But not every single culture is like that, as you stated. Like, we thrive on that. So countries like you know, Finland or Norway, when all these individuals are coming in with their own unique individual cultures and they're not assimilating, what's your take on that? Do you think it's bad, you know, them not mixing in, or do you think that it's a good thing? Maybe, I don't know. People are entitled to, you know, stick with their cultures despite going into another country with a completely different culture.
Looking at Europe, it's not okay. So, I mean, all throughout history, and there's always immigration happening in places.
Of course, absolutely.
That's something that's always happened, and you see that somehow, like, culture, there are slight culture changes, but it's in a way, I think, that is less drastic. I think there's always the idea that if there is such an intense culture change, will the other culture that's coming in be over-dominating to the culture that was there originally? And I think that when you see in Europe, for example, in places that are very homogeneous, and there's such a strong clash in the values of those cultures because they think they're equally good, and you get so much people I mean, it's almost as if you're putting two armies against each other of different that seem like allies but have completely different views. They're gonna fight. I mean, even if
So,
it's
would you suggest that they shouldn't come in all together, or do you think that they need to hash it out, and the end result of them, of that discourse, will be something better than?
I don't think they should hash it out. Do I think it might happen? I think the problem is like because it's I mean the European perspective where you know after World War II,
Wait, wait.
um
So you're from Catalonia, correct?
correct.
Well, how would you feel if a bunch of like, I don't know, like Muslims or Japanese individuals just came in and just like let's just say you're a
I'm gonna tell you the thing is Catalonia. It's very different because we don't have a strong sense of identity. Getting other people to come in only kind of waters down our like identity and being able to become an independent nation. I only
right.
see it as
Well,
an
like, what
empire.
did that make you upset? Oh, well, I mean, let's just like you just said that it waters it down, right? Well, if I
Right.
took pride in the Catalonian culture, well, why would I want my culture being destroyed or,
I
as you said,
wouldn't.
watered down?
Obviously, I wouldn't. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't. Um, so it's difficult because like yeah, the situation with mine, right? And I say I don't want any more in my country. It's really because all it does is put a blockade with being able to have independence and see that like we don't need more people that are potentially going to be in the way of us becoming an independent nation. And those people aren't because they come there and they speak Spanish and they only think like, what the fuck is Catalan anyway? We don't. Why are people speaking another language that isn't Spanish? We already have to learn Spanish. Why do we need to learn Catalan? So it's that's a really big issue. Aside, there's like all these things going on of like you see these terrorist groups. I can say that these guys who came in Barcelona and they slaughtered a bunch of people in their van was because like they came from the Middle East. The thing is, they were raised in Catalonia, right? I mean, there's a lot of Moroccans that live in Catalonia, and right. The thing is, like, it's more of the idea that was put in their head that really fucked shit up. And it's the funny part is because they weren't really from Morocco. I mean, they were born like they could. I think they were born and raised there, born and raised in Catalonia, even though they were ethnically Moroccan. So the thing it really is the idea of it. So yeah, let's see. I have 4% battery. Let me go get my charger for a second.
You do that, buddy. Oh, oh. Oh, yikes. Wow, this camera quality is subpar.
Ah,
Alright, who are you? Oh, okay. What's up? Are you ready? What's good?
um, I just my computer fell and shit. So I had it in the wrong place. So let me just.
Show off your bedroom, buddy. I want to see where
Let me. Yeah, can you see me?
Yeah, dude, you're good.
All right, let me change. I gotta change my shirt, dude. Give me a second. I spilled coffee all over.
Oh, dude, I'm missing all the good stuff now. You should have taken your laptop with you.
Yeah, I dropped my laptop. Yeah, I know. Oh, my klutz sometimes, man.
Okay, it happens. You win some and you lose some.
You win some and you lose some.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you won with your, devilish good looks and charm, but I mean, you just lost when
Oh
it
yeah.
came to. I mean, just not good with your hands, I guess. Oh, jeez. Your screen is black. Oh, this is disappointing.
There we go. There we go. It should work.
There you go.
Hello?
What's up? Yeah. Oh, it's black again. Oh, there you go. Oh, I can't hear you. No, I can see you. Can't hear you though. One sec. Maybe. I mean. Yeah, it's not me. Yeah, I can't hear you, buddy. Camera's looking good though. Oh, jeez. Oh, did you leave? Oh, that's upsetting. Oh. No, I think we had enough content though. Oh, did you join? Oh, again? Oh, jeez. Still can't hear you. Oh, whoops. Oh, wait.
Yo, give me a second. My computer just started acting up. Like it's really weird.
I can hear you now though.